Mr. President, seated before you are the trustees, faculty, alumni, candidates for degrees, and honored guests of the university, assembled for the annual commencement in Columbia's 258th academic year. With your permission, Mr. President, the exercises will now begin. Please stand for the vocal performance of the national anthem by Anthony Riello of the School of Social Work class of 2012.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The opening words will be pronounced by Janelle Davis, University Chaplain.
Please be seated. Congratulations, Columbia University 2012 graduates. Your Columbia University degree will identify you as among the best educated women and men in the world. You are graduating into what has truly become a global world, where actions and decisions in any one part of the globe have immediate consequences and impacts for the entire world. These are unprecedented times, where the present and the future are in precarious balance, times when there are breathtaking changes in every field of inquiry, work, and vocation. These are also hopeful times. Challenges and opportunities are expanding for people of good character, goodwill, and good conscience. As Columbia University alumni, you will have opportunities and in many cases will be asked to assume responsibilities to address the most complex issues of these critical times. You will give guidance on matters of international affairs, public policy, finance, business, engineering, architecture, the arts, the humanities, the social and natural sciences. You will give counsel on matters of law, human rights, social work, education, and journalism. You will be on the vanguard of reforms in healthcare and public health. You will give compassionate care and conduct life-enhancing research in nursing, public health, dentistry, and medicine. You will give voice You will give voice to the common good of us all. May you be of good character. May you have moral courage. May you have an open heart, a discerning mind, and a generous, principled spirit. May you enjoy the blessings of lifelong learning, reasoned optimism, and daring dreams. May it be so. May it be so. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the University, Lee C. Bollinger.
On behalf of the trustees and the faculty of Columbia University, it is my very, very great pleasure and honor to welcome all of you to this ceremony to celebrate the graduation of the class of 2012. Every year we gather in this magnificent academic forum to affirm the achievements of our extraordinary students and to reaffirm the intellectual bonds that connect us to those who have passed through these gates for 258 years and to those who will do so for centuries to come. 16 different schools are represented here today, along with our affiliate institutions of Teachers College, and Barnard College, who you may have heard 2 days ago borrowed an alumnus of ours for their beautiful ceremony. In a time when life can seem increasingly fragmented and solitary, this glorious ritual in this utterly unique spot on the planet seems all the more remarkable and even thrilling. This day is all about the graduates and about what you've earned through endless and mostly foggy-minded hours of study, earned by overcoming again and again your natural inclination for procrastination, just in time to write papers and take exams. And it's a well-known fact that the smarter you are, the more you tend to procrastinate. Congratulations on that achievement. You've earned this through sacrifice of something called sleep, not to mention nutrition and hygiene, and earned by carrying on in those inevitable low moments of self-doubt. While this occasion is about you, there are also a few people here today who've contributed mightily to your getting to this delightful point in life and whom you'll never be able to thank enough. I can assure you that nothing focuses the mind like the successes and disappointments of one's own children. And as much as we, your faculty, adore you, and we really do adore you, nothing can compare to the adoration of your parents. So please take this opportunity to thank them. You've been at Columbia and now graduated at a time when the world is under very great stresses. For many of you, the term job market may sound like an oxymoron at best or a cruel joke at worst. Along with an economy that's now only crawling back from near free fall, this nation has struggled with 2 wars. And sitting among us this afternoon are many veterans whom we honor and thank for their service. And for enriching our own community as Columbia students. The choices and failures of one generation are often visited on the youth of the next. And from that perspective, our generation's sins hardly seem venial. As a nation and as a world, it sure seems like we should be doing more than we are to correct our mistakes and their legacies. From a larger perspective, it is important to recognize that you've also been at Columbia when the world is undergoing the most significant transformation in a century, and perhaps even in history. Your world is and promises to be one of globalization. 2 critically important and interrelated forces are now at work driving this transformation. One is the near worldwide embrace of markets as a system of organizing economic activity, with a stunning growth in trade and investment, along with rising standards of living for hundreds of millions of people. And the second is the emergence of a completely new communications technology, the internet, that is bringing a heretofore unimaginable capacity for humanity to receive and impart information and ideas. It's a stunning fact that more than 2 billion people are now connected to the internet around the globe, with hundreds of millions coming into the conversation each year. These 2 recent developments are profoundly important in making the world population closer and more interdependent than ever before. This appears to be the trajectory of the new century, and as you grow older, I predict you will find yourself saying, "I was there at the beginning when I was a student at Columbia." It's well worth understanding, therefore, where we are and what challenges you have ahead of you as you take leave of us at Columbia. A seemingly defining feature of the new global age is the dispersion of power. We emphasize the fact that change is being driven not by the decisions of a few all-powerful leaders, but rather by the sum of millions of individual voices in the anonymous realms of the market and the marketplace of ideas. We celebrate the reality of individual empowerment. We enjoy the convenience of better and cheaper products. We relish the accessibility of information with just a few clicks. And we marvel at the ability of social movements to form and challenge entrenched authorities. The crowd is in, Napoleons are out. There's much to celebrate and be amazed by, but there's also much to worry and wonder about. Political leaders wake up in the morning and find their economic and social policies are no longer favored by the market, and they now must decide whether to change or suffer the penalties of higher costs and deeper deficits. In future decades, will we look back and wonder at how we could possibly have let public policies be determined in this way? Or leaders wake up in the morning and find their citizens angry and frustrated and far better able to express their feelings. As sovereignty slips away, some governments resort to desperate and short-sighted tactics of trying to inflame nationalist sentiments, of diverting unhappiness by stoking hatred of vulnerable minority groups, and of censoring criticism, often employing the very same technologies that people depend on to make their voices heard. In future decades, will we look back and wonder how the world could have gone so wrong? It may be that the very sense of self is changing as traditional social systems change and in some ways gradually dissolve in the face of seemingly uncontrollable forces. we see people experience a higher sense of anxiety and vulnerability in an uncertain world. These are the kinds of subtle changes that will be discerned and recorded best by our most sensitive truth seekers and truth tellers, the artists who write the novels and the poems or create the images that in decades to come will take their places in the core curriculum along with To the Lighthouse, The Wasteland, and Guernica. What we can say for sure right now is that these two dominant forces at work, the market and the marketplace of ideas, are plunging ahead of our collective capacity to create a world that can take full advantage of what they have to offer. We urgently need institutions, legal systems, public policies, and most importantly, human beings prepared for and suited to what we should call the emerging world. We commonly talk about markets and the marketplace of ideas, making them freer, of eliminating protectionism and censorship, which of course I favor. But we need to focus more affirmatively on the conditions needed for those systems to work well and for us to thrive in them. There is nothing inherently good about markets, whether for goods or for ideas. Everything depends on the people and the choices they make within these systems. Everything depends on the quality of mind underlying the decisions taken. Because in a market-driven world, not everything is for sale. In 1925, in one of the earliest Supreme Court decisions supporting freedom of speech, one of the great justices of the century, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., gave a provocative articulation of free speech. As fears of communism were rampant in the society, he said this: if in the long run the beliefs expressed in the proletarian dictatorship are destined to be accepted by the dominant forces of the community, the only meaning of free speech is that they should be given their chance and have their way. Holmes was saying, in effect, that the premise of a free and open marketplace of ideas is that you have to win the future every day. You have to participate. You have to speak. You have to make your case against others, especially against dangerous ideas. And if you don't, you're just assisting the views you'd fear and deplore. But there's a larger point, too. When everyone can speak, we all have an interest in the quality of mind everyone brings to the discussion. If people are vulnerable to being fooled by falsehoods and deluded by deceits, we all lose. And that brings us inevitably to the importance of education. In politics, it may be that to get elected, you need to focus on the economy. But in regular life, for a society to win, you need to focus on education. Just think of what you've gained here at Columbia. Here, whatever your field of inquiry, you've seen the best that humanity has to offer, which means you have internalized a standard of excellence against which you can always measure your and others' efforts, which will heighten your admiration and respect for genuine expertise and creativity. But you've also seen how the best fall short and fail, where knowledge ends and the abyss of ignorance begins, which means you'll never be intimidated by expertise, nor, I hope, lord yours over others. Here you've had to use language, reason, and engage in discussion. And in doing so, you've felt just how frustrating and hard it is to do, which means you will never allow yourself to give up on debate and the possibility of changing your mind for the easier path of dogmatism or silence. You have done all this in an incredibly diverse academic community, which means you will find the rich array of humanity a stimulant, not a threat. And it would be a tragedy, especially at this moment when globalization demands our heightened capacity for dealing with diversity. If the U.S. Supreme Court were to use the Fisher case that it will hear this coming fall to limit the ability of our colleges and universities to ensure that kind of diversity on our campuses here at home. Here you've observed people stand up for truth when it's hard and controversial to do so, which means that forever there will be a voice in your mind that says now it's your time to do so. And if you need an example, look no further than this year's extraordinarily accomplished and courageous honorary degree recipients. Women and men from many different fields of human endeavor, whose vision extended beyond the common understandings at the time and then committed themselves to charting a new path. And here, above all, you've seen the value of living a life, however small, in relation to a higher purpose, a greater good. For us here, it is the end of truth and understanding. But there are many noble ends to which to tether a good life. We cannot tell you which to choose, but we can say that if at any point in your life it does not have this quality, if you ever feel disconnected from a higher purpose, then you must change your life. And may you have the courage to answer that call. All these qualities of mind and many others are the gifts of a great education such as you have received here at Columbia. They make it possible for you to live fulfilling lives in every pursuit, career, or profession. But most importantly, they prepare you for membership in a community, whether small, national, or as we're now heading into, global. The economic and communicative integration of the world is underway and rapidly altering our lives. The social structures necessary for this brave new world are lagging behind and still must be invented. But the foundation of it all is education. Education like you've been privileged to experience here at Columbia. The whole world wants, and it deserves, what you have. That is a mission for both you and Columbia to carry forward into this new century. And I have a final word about you and your university. You are Columbia, in the sense that the university is proud of your achievements. But it is also true that you are Columbia, in the sense that Columbia is tremendously admired, and that fact reflects on you as well. If you ask me what makes Columbia great, I have a very, very long list. I'll wait for another day to make the case that Columbia is now the greatest university in the world. But I do insist. But I do insist at this moment, there certainly is no university greater. And the esteem Columbia enjoys all over the world, our incredible intellectual heritage, the breadth and depth of our intellectual reach, our residence in New York City, where we absorb naturally the currents of ideas from all parts of the globe, our Columbia's new global presence on every continent, and our natural inclination to take on the big issues of the time, all these characteristics make Columbia the most ideally situated university on the planet to be a truly global university in a century of globalization that you and we must make. It's not only Columbia's destiny, but yours as well. I close by saying in complete candor and with the utmost confidence that you, the class of 2012, are the most intelligent and attractive graduating class we have ever seen. Definitely the most attractive in any event. We are deeply, deeply proud of what you have done with us and what you will do now for the world. You are Columbia, indeed, but you are also Columbia. Congratulations and good luck.
The Provost of the University, John Coatsworth, will present the candidate for the University Medal for Excellence and candidates for degrees in honoris causa. Please hold your applause until after all the citations have been read.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Thomas Robert Kitt for the University Medal of Excellence.
Your busy career of composing, conducting, and leading your eponymous band has been highlighted by the revelatory music you composed for Next to Normal. The New York Times described it as a surging title score. A Pulitzer Prize for Drama and a Tony Award soon followed. There have been many other triumphs from your work on the musical American Idiot, which was nominated for a Drama Desk Award, to your score of incidental music for the Public Theater's staging of The Winter's Tale. We take no small pride in the fact that your talent was first on display here at Columbia, in the Varsity Show and Kingsman's performances, for treating all of us to an innovative brand of musical artistry that is at once atypical and yet perfectly suited to the stage. Columbia is proud to present you with the University Medal of Excellence. Congratulations.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Michelle Bachelet for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Having experienced firsthand the human toll of dictatorship, you became determined to protect the vulnerable from tyranny. Your courageous public service and personal example of forgiveness has improved lives in communities and helped the nation bind up historic wounds. You became Chile's first female president, shattering gender stereotypes and barriers along the way. Now, as the United Nations Undersecretary General and inaugural Executive Director of UN Women, you are applying your talents to urgent problems of global dimension. In you, women across the world have found a formidable champion. For personifying the bold and uninhibited leadership essential to social progress and justice, Columbia is proud to present you with the Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Amy Gutman for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Your life's work shows that you have heeded well the admonition from the University of Pennsylvania's founder, Benjamin Franklin, to, quote, either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. You most assuredly have done both. Your many books, articles, and essays have made a lasting scholarly contribution to the study of deliberative democracy, the role of education in society, and practical ethics. And your leadership as president of the University of Pennsylvania has been exemplary, highlighted by the no-loan financial aid policy you instituted to broaden college access and the Penn Compact, which stands as a model for engaging civic participation. Bound together through your shared experience as great urban universities, Columbia, along with Penn, salutes you for so skillfully advancing the education of young citizens preparing for life in a rapidly changing world. For your indelible mark on the field of political science and on higher education in America, Columbia is proud to bestow upon you the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations, Amy.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Gloria Steinem for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Few names in modern American history are as emblematic of a great social movement as yours. You famously critiqued women's magazines for molding women into better consumers and showed us all a different way with Ms. Magazine. Your distinctive mix of conviction, thoughtfulness, and wit succeeded in energizing a world-changing conversation about reproductive rights and other essential concerns of women. Today, that conversation continues unabated as battles for social justice and gender equality, long presumed settled, face new political challenge. In the fights for women's rights, civil rights, and gay rights, you have employed your considerable talents as an award-winning journalist, best-selling author, sought-after lecturer, an omnipresent activist and organizer. For the courage and the tenacity to establish a new path forward for a more just society and for empowering countless others to join in this cause, Columbia is proud to bestow upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Jean Franco for the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa.
A true pioneer of Latin American studies, through your scholarship and writing spanning almost half a century, you have helped introduce the English-speaking world to Latin American literature. The clarity and perceptiveness of your critical analysis of mass culture, postmodernism, feminism, and many other subjects has long been on display, nowhere more so than here at Columbia, the university that has been your academic home for the last 3 decades. In recognition of your devotion to Latin American literature, you have been decorated by the governments of Mexico, Chile, and Venezuela. For having been a trailblazer in your academic field and a beacon for many fellow scholars, Columbia is proud to bestow upon one of our most respected faculty members the degree of Doctor of Letters honoris causa. Congratulations, Jean.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Muhal Richard Abrams for the Doctor of Music honoris causa.
From the release of Levels and Degrees of Light, your 1967 debut album, through your present-day compositions and performances, you have engaged and challenged listeners around the world. Yours is a passionately innovative style born of musical dexterity that could come only from a self-taught virtuoso with boundless imagination. You co-founded the Association for the Advancement of Creative Music, which became an incubator for generations of talented African-American musicians seeking to develop their styles and play their way to wider audiences. First in Chicago and then in New York, you have continued in the role not only of innovative artist, but also dedicated mentor. In recognition of your wide-ranging contributions to our musical culture in both experimental and established idioms, Columbia is honored to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Music, honoris causa. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Su Xian for the Doctor of Science honoris causa.
By transcending boundaries separating biology, medicine, and engineering, you have pioneered an integrative approach transforming the fields of physiology and bioengineering. In doing so, you have been able to deepen our understanding of something as basic as how blood flows through our veins. That knowledge, in turn, has advanced the treatment of sickle cell anemia, cardiovascular disease, and our understanding of stem cells and cancer cells. Only 10 other scholars share with you the honor of membership in the National Academy of Sciences, the National Academy of Engineering, and the Institute of Medicine. Last November, President Obama, a graduate of Columbia, awarded you the National Medal of Science. Now on the campus where you began your career as a doctoral student and then became a celebrated professor, Columbia is proud to honor you with the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. Congratulations, Su Xian. Thanks.
The president of the university will present the awards for excellence in teaching. The professors will stand as their names are announced. Please hold your applause until all recipients have been recognized.
With deepest admiration, we recognize these professors for outstanding work in their areas of study and their extraordinary contributions to the intellectual life of students at Columbia. They've been chosen by the campus community for excellence they bring every day to the classroom. So we'd like to acknowledge the following faculty: Jonathan Barash, John C.M. Brust, Samuel G. Friedman, Carol Liebman, and Eric Mendelson.
The president of the university will present the 2012 alumni medalists. The alumni will stand as their names are announced.
We are very proud to recognize today our alumni medalists and chosen by their peers for their efforts on behalf of Columbia. For those of you who graduate today, while we say goodbye to you as students, we welcome you also as alumni. And it is inspiring to know that some of you will stand up here in years to come, honored for your service to alma mater. Rosa V. Alonso. Raymond P. Dudazio. Robert Douglas. Alexis Gelber. Kay Crawford Murray. Hao Ying Lo. David B. Ottaway. David P. Roy Jr. Nicholas Rudd. Barbara Silverstone.
We will now hear a message of congratulations from the chair of the Columbia Alumni Association, George Van Ansen.
Good morning. On behalf of over 310,000 alumni around the world, I congratulate you. I celebrate your achievement and I welcome you to the Columbia Alumni Association, CAA, a new chapter in your Columbia life and one that can take you anywhere you want it to. Here at Columbia, you have been part of a great conversation with your professors, with other students, with powerful ideas, with New York City. Columbia has shaped our minds, our lives, and our sense of place in the world. But we shape Columbia too, and we define Columbia's presence in the world. Students are students for just a few years, but alumni are alumni forever. I know that through CAA, you can find countless ways to stay engaged, inspired, and challenged to stay with Columbia. When you pass through the gates today, take Columbia with you. I hope to see you again soon. In lumine tuvo vendebimus lumen, in your light, we see light. Congratulations and welcome.
And now the conferring of degrees. The provost of the university will present the administrative officers of the various divisions of the university who will, in turn, introduce candidates for the degrees in course in their respective groups. Those candidates will be expected to rise as they are being introduced.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present James J. Valentini, Interim Dean, Columbia College.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, guys. Mr. President, standing before you in sections 8 and 9, which must be an indexing error because Columbia College students only sit in section 1, are the 1,132 candidates of Columbia College, candidates who have heroically completed the overly demanding and seemingly endless requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts Prescribed by that most critical and insistent of faculty of Columbia College, candidates who have met every challenge of thoroughly confusing multiple choice exams and impossibly vague essay assignments, who have mastered subjects in the arts, humanities, natural sciences, and social sciences, from astronomy to religion, ancient studies to urban studies, economics to philosophy, and candidates who have also conquered that most difficult and most important of college curricula, the core curriculum. Their unique heritage as Columbia College students. I would beg you, sir, I would insist, I would demand that you grant them this degree, which they richly deserve, along with the rights and privileges thereto attached, to which they are rightfully entitled. But I myself do not have to so beg or insist or demand, sir, for the graduates of Columbia College are the most independent of graduates and can most emphatically do so for themselves, as they will now, sir, by their collective roar as lions most powerful.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Fenioski Peña Mora, Dean of the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Sciences.
Mr. President, before you stand the entrepreneurially spirited, cyber-biophysically inclined, technically unsurpassed, and equipped for the data deluge, candidates of the faculty of the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science. I present to you the next generation of socially responsible engineering and applied science leaders whose work results in the betterment of the human condition locally, nationally, and globally. Technologically green, incredibly well-read, and forever blue to the core. These talented men and women represent all of our 9 academic departments. These students in front of you are physics-defined, mathematically applied, biomedically enhanced, chemically reactive, civilly motivated, computer erudite, environmentally sensitive, electrically charged, industrially ready, operationally efficient, mechanically active, and materially relevant. They are the risk-evaluating, financially cautious, ever pushing the envelope and never crossing the line ethicist, hard hat wearing, and most obviously, hammer waving engineers and applied scientists who will change the world. These candidates before you have successfully completed all the rigorous requirements prescribed by the faculty of the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science for the degrees of Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, professional degree. So I implore you, sir, to grant these amazingly talented, innovative, and inventive individuals who have met the demanding challenges of our Herculean curriculum, the degrees that each one of them so meritoriously has earned, along with all the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Deborah L. Spar, President of Barnard College.
Thank you. Mr. President, it is my honor and my pleasure to present to you the brilliant, the bold, the ever beautiful women of Barnard College. On their behalf and mine, I thank you, your staff, and the entire university community for the extraordinary effort, sacrifice, and grace that went into welcoming President Barack Obama back to South Lawn on Monday. We are grateful. Under the watchful eye of Nike, with the leadership of Athena, in the splendor of the Diana, and with the wisdom that comes from at least 9 ways of knowing, these students have won Fulbright scholarships and internships, scaled mountains and dug into archives, choreographed works of dance, and launched entrepreneurial ventures, attacking each challenge with the energy and resilience that marks them all. And along the way, they have somehow also managed to complete the requirements prescribed by the faculty for the Bachelor of Arts degree. So I ask you please to confer these degrees along with the rights, responsibilities, and privileges attached thereto.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Peter J. Ahn, Dean of the School of General Studies.
There we go. Mr. President, to your right, and perched on Olympian heights, stand the godlike candidates of the faculty of the School of General Studies. A unique college designed specifically for students who take an untraditional path to a traditional and rigorous Ivy League education. They are deeply indebted to the Columbia faculty and to their banks for this superb education. These exceptional women and men have completed the requirements prescribed by their faculty for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. I beg you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Christine Billmeyer, Dean of the School of Continuing Education.
Mr. President, before you and to your right stand the alarmingly intelligent, endlessly committed, and assiduously entrepreneurial candidates of the Faculty of Continuing Education. These 400 candidates come forth from the youngest of the schools in our great university, but they represent the focal point of education in this still young century, to transform knowledge and understanding in service of a just, sustainable, and compassionate global society. President Bollinger, I hereby certify that these students have completed the requirements prescribed by the Faculty of Continuing Education for the degree of Master of Science in 13 emerging and cross-disciplinary fields of study. These candidates are now prepared to apply their knowledge and expertise to compelling and complex issues that concern the world and that cross many sectors of human activity, continuing to grow and reinvent themselves, knowing, because the doors of wisdom are never shut, that they will never stop learning. I beseech you, sir, to grant them this degree, along with the rights, responsibilities, and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Carol Becker, Dean of the School of the Arts.
Mr. President, before you stand the wild and wildly gifted candidates of the Faculty of the School of the Arts in film, theater, visual arts, and writing. They represent most parts of the United States, as well as 24 other countries. They have dazzled, amused, terrified, astonished, and surprised us and each other with their boundless enthusiasm, resourcefulness, and creativity. They have won competitions, displayed, presented, read, and performed their work in prestigious venues around the world. And miraculously, Mr. President, while succeeding at all this, they also have completed the requirements prescribed by the faculty for the degrees of Master of Arts and Master of Fine Arts. I implore you, Mr. President, to grant them their degrees, along with the rights and privileges thereto attached, so that they may go out into the world and inspire us to dream large and fearlessly for the future of this country and for all the societies they represent.
And Public Affairs.
Mr. President, Mr. President, before you stand the candidates of the Faculty of International and Public Affairs. After an eventful year here in Wall Street in New York and around the world, they occupy the bleachers to your left, by which I do not mean to your right, where they represent the 99% of the world outside of Morningside Heights. These future global leaders have mastered the skills of public policy analysis and management at Columbia's most global school and are well prepared to tackle the world's most urgent challenges, from poverty and inequality to urban development, from environmental sustainability to energy security, from human oppression to war and peace. They have completed the requirements prescribed by the faculty for the degrees of Master of International Affairs and Master of Public Administration, and I ask you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Jeanette Takamura, Dean of the School of Social Work.
Mr. President, today, to the left, not necessarily politically, I present the gifted, globally sophisticated, civic-minded, highly intelligent, creative, and truly inspiring candidates of the Faculty of Social Work for the Master of Science and Doctor of Social Welfare degrees. Some are also actors, veterans, attorneys, or were investment bankers and Peace Corps volunteers. They are committed to the well-being of humankind and have given more than 500,000 hours as social work interns at the UN, the Screen Actors Fund, the Legal Aid Society, the New York Presbyterian Hospital, and also in the White House, India, Jordan, and other countries around the world. They are the heart and soul, the social conscience of the communities we love. Enormously proud of these exemplary candidates, I beg you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Ira B. Lamster, Dean of the College of Dental Medicine.
Mr. President, though they are small in number, they are strong of spirit. And before you stand the candidates of the faculty of the College of Dental Medicine who have completed the requirements prescribed by the faculty for the degree of Master of Science and Doctor of Dental Surgery. The graduates represent the future of dental medicine and carry with them our hopes and expectations for the continued development of our profession. These individuals are best described as socially conscious, dedicated, collaborative, and compassionate. 70% of the members of this class have traveled internationally to provide oral health care services to those in greatest need. They now continue their education at the finest residency programs in the United States. In addition to all these wonderful attributes, members of the College of Dental Medicine class of 2012 also demonstrate immaculate oral hygiene and are, of course, completely painless. I beg you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present R. Glenn Hubbard, Dean of the Graduate School of Business.
Mr. President, before you stand, the entrepreneurial, apparently the fun percent. Mr. President, before you stand, the entrepreneurial, the opportunity ready, the bailout free candidates of the Faculty of Business. Please take stock of my bond, sir. Accept my warrant. Look at these folks with interest. They have completed the requirements prescribed by our faculty for the degrees of Master of Business Administration and Master of Science. I beg you, sir, to grant these two Columbia to fail leaders these degrees along with the rights, the privileges, and the responsibilities thereto attached.
Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Nicholas Lehman, Dean of the School of Journalism.
Mr. President, shh. Just give me a minute here, guys, please. Mr. President, there are many proud parents gathered here today, but only a few of them have known the ultimate thrill that a parent can experience. And that is to have your child come to you and say, "Mom, Dad, guess what? I've decided to go into journalism." I present to you, sir, the children of those fortunate parents, the candidates of the Faculty of Journalism. They will have interesting and significant lives. They will spread freedom and knowledge throughout the world. They will refuse to stand by silently in the presence of injustice. They will reinvent their profession, and they will pleasantly surprise their parents by becoming not just accomplished, idealistic, and admirable, but also solvent. Because they have completed the requirements prescribed by the Faculty of Journalism, I beseech you, sir, to grant our candidates the degrees of Master of Science, Master of Arts, and Doctor of Philosophy, along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Susan H. Furman, President of Teachers College.
Mr. President, making thunderous noise, before you to your left stand the candidates of the Faculty of Teachers College, who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Education, and Doctor of Education. They are schooled in schooling, intense about innovation, revved up about reform, learned about leading, tumultuous about technology, and above all, yearning for learning. I implore you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Mark Wigley, Dean of the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation.
Mr. President, before you stand the candidates of the Faculty of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. As it's obvious to absolutely everybody in this magnificent campus, these people are embarrassingly intelligent, relentlessly experimental, and obscenely fashionable. These people simply want to change the way that we live, and even more importantly, the way that we think. They have digital streams flowing through their veins, new materials at their fingertips, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant visions in their heads, and they're really itching very strongly to make an impact in every corner of this planet and the planets beyond, and they will. Mr. President, it's time for us to launch these heat-seeking, heat-producing designers and developers into the world. They have completed the absolutely torturous requirements prescribed by their faculty for the degrees of the Master of Architecture and Master of Science in Advanced Architectural Design, Urban Design, Historic Preservation, Urban Planning, Critical Curatorial and Conceptual Practices, and Real Estate Development. By 2050, 7 billion people will be living in cities, and we really don't know what this means, and we need these people to help. I beg you, sir, I beg you to grant them these degrees along with the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present David Schisser, Dean of the School of Law.
Mr. President, before you stand the candidates of the Faculty of Law with justice in their hearts and stare decisis in their eyes. They are ready to join you, Mr. President, as graduates of Columbia Law School. They've completed the requirements of the degrees of Juris Doctor, Master of Laws, and Doctor of Science of Laws. They've read thousands of cases and statutes, participated in public interest caravans, studied with award-winning professors like Carol Liebman, and fought valiantly in the Dean's Cup basketball game. Like the classes that have come before them, they are trained to become leaders in every sector all over the world. Their time has come to go forth and contribute to justice. I ask you, sir, to grant them these degrees.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Lee Goldman, Executive Vice President for Health and Biomedical Sciences and Dean of Health Sciences and Medicine.
Mr. President, before you stand the candidates for degrees from Columbia's College of Fabulous Physicians and Superb Surgeons. While we fully recognize that all Columbia graduates are lovers of their respective fields of study, only our graduates have mastered the anatomy, the physiology, and even the psychiatry that will make them the best possible lovers of the medical professions. And they've also mastered, I must add, the scientific knowledge, the clinical skills, and the humanism that will make them able to improve the health and welfare of their patients, one at a time, and of the public as a whole. Having completed or exceeded the prescribed requirements for master's or doctoral degrees in science, human nutrition, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and medicine, I respectfully request, sir, that you grant these individuals these degrees along with the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto attached. Mr. President, as you also know, Columbia was the first university in America to grant the MD degree some 240 years ago. As has been our custom for these many years, we also request your permission to administer the Hippocratic Oath to those to whom you have just granted the Doctor of Medicine degree. These graduates are prepared to recite the oath by heart in the original ancient Greek. But I beg your permission today, sir, to let me say it and have them just bow their heads. Bow their heads as Columbia graduates have done for 240 years and as doctors worldwide have done for 2,400 years. If you swear by these things, I solemnly swear by whatever I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, that I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whatever so house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick, to the utmost of my power, holding myself far aloof from corruption and from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and will give no drug nor perform no operation for an unworthy purpose, even if solicited, far less suggested. That whatever so I shall see or hear of the lives of my patients, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. If you, our graduates today, are true to this oath, may good repute be ever yours. The opposite, if you shall prove yourselves forsworn. Congratulations, and welcome to the profession of medicine.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to introduce Bobby Berkowitz, Dean of the School of Nursing.
Mr. President, please meet the candidates of the 2012 graduating class of the School of Nursing. These men and women are the next generation of clinicians and scholars who will keep us healthy, manage our care should we become ill, and discover new ways to improve the quality of health care. Because our health depends on it and on them, it is in the best interest of all of us that you, sir, grant the Bachelor of Science, the Master of Science, the Doctor of Nursing Practice, and the Doctor of Philosophy degrees, along with the rights, responsibilities, and privileges thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Linda P. Freed, Dean of the Mailman School of Public Health.
Mr. President, before you on the right stand the relentlessly global, values-driven, socially committed, politically astute, diverse, and of course stupendously brilliant candidates of the Mailman School of Public Health. Sir, These candidates, hailing from nations around the world, must not be detained from their noble mission of improving health and preventing disease in every corner of the planet, transforming our nation and our world for the better for everyone. They have completed the requirements prescribed by their faculty for the degrees of Master of Public Health, Master of Science, and Doctor of Public Health. I beseech you, sir, to grant them their degrees along with the rights and responsibilities thereto attached.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to present Carlos Alonso, Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
Mr. President, before you stand the candidates of the faculty of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences who have completed the requirements prescribed by that faculty for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Philosophy, Doctor of Philosophy, and Doctor of Musical Arts, the highest degrees offered by this world-renowned house of learning over which you preside. They have been researching and writing for many, many years in order to reach this momentous day. You see, Mr. President, there was always one more article to read, one more experiment to run, one further page to write, and one ever more precise adjective to find. But today, I can attest to the incontrovertible fact that their dissertations and theses are now exact, perfect, irrefutable, and eternal. Very much like we, the faculty members who have guided their work. And as such, I beg you, sir, to grant them these degrees along with the rights and privileges thereto attached.
Now, will all candidates for degrees in course rise for the conferring of the degrees by the President?
The appropriate academic authorities have determined and have so reported to me those students who have satisfactorily completed the course of study prescribed by the faculty under which they have each been enrolled as a candidate for a university degree. In accordance with the authority vested in me as president of the university, I now admit each of you to the degree for which you have qualified, in token whereof you will subsequently receive your diploma. Congratulations.
Now you are all requested to rise and join the Columbia Clefhangers in singing Stand Columbia. Please remain standing until after the closing words by Chaplain Janelle Davis.
Mother stayed on rock eternal, crowned and set upon a height, glorified by light supernal. In thy radiance we see light, torch Forge thy children's lamps to kindle, beacon star to cheer and guide. Stand, Columbia, alma mater, through the storms of time abide. Stand, Columbia, alma mater, through the storms of time abide. Honor, love, and veneration crown forevermore thy brow. Many a grateful generation hail thee as we hail thee now, till the lordly Hudson seaward cease to roll his heaving tide. Stand, Columbia, alma mater, through the storms of time abide. Stand, Columbia, alma mater, through the storms of time abide.
Return to Columbia often to challenge your mind and to refresh your spirit. Safe travels and Godspeed. Congratulations.
Until the academic procession has entered Low Library, we ask the guests of the university and the graduates to remain in your places. A last congratulations to the class of 2012.